I'm Almetria Vaba. Thank you for joining me on this edition of City County Profile. My guest is Jack Hickey. Jack, thank you for joining me today.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about your background.
Well, I grew up in New York. I left New York when I went into the Navy in 1953 and traveled through the Panama Canal when we still owned it. Wound up in California and got discharged in '57 and decided I liked California, so I stayed here. I was Southern California then, and in Southern California, I lived there till 1965 and moved up here to the Bay Area, and all the time pursuing a career in high tech that I got my training in the Navy. And I've been here so 45 years now, in the same place up in Emerald Hills.
Yeah. So was there a point growing up where politics really captured your imagination, being involved?
Yes, it started in Hawthorne, California. When I lived there, we campaigned for Barry Goldwater back in 1964. Yeah. And after that, we were energized to do something in the community, and the city council there decided that they wanted an urban renewal agency to bulldoze down the downtown and create new things, new big boxes and all that stuff. We formed a committee and used one of the processes that I'm really fond of is petitioning process. And we used a referendum petition, and we were able to stop the ordinance that created the Urban Renewal Agency, and we beat them 2-1 at the polls.
Congratulations.
Yes, that was my first effort there.
That's a big one.
Yes. Yeah. And then when I came up to this area, back in '78, you remember Jarvis Gann, Prop 13. That fired me up again because that's another process, the initiative process, rather than the referendum. And so he used the initiative process very successfully. And then we had Ronald Reagan got elected, and I got motivated to try a voucher plan through the initiative process. So I spent
plan for
education.
Oh.
Yes, performance voucher for education. But I circulated petitions, traveled around the state, spent a whole year, full time, traveling around the state trying to qualify that for the ballot. So I was on TV, San Diego all the way up to Wairika, and it was quite an experience. And that was in around '79, '80. In 1982. Hayakawa decided to retire, and I decided I would, since I had statewide exposure, I would run for U.S. Senate on the Republican Party ticket. And there were 13 of us.
Wow, that's a lot of candidates.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And you remember Maureen Reagan was one of the candidates. Barry Goldwater Jr. was a candidate. Pete McCloskey, a known name in this community. So there were quite a few people that, and our former governor, Pete Wilson, was one of those candidates. So I traveled around again, traveling around all over the state, campaigning for Senate. And I didn't make that one, but I have had successes. The most notable success, I would say, is 1991. I chaired the committee that defeated Measure A, which was a 0.5% sales tax. I mean, our sales tax is now over 9%. It would be 9 3/4, no, 9 7/8 if I hadn't helped to defeat the 8% sales tax. Yes. Yeah. So I tend to be a taxpayer's advocate, and so that's what drives me.
And you seem really issue-driven. Everything that you've talked about is everything that you've done that you've talked about is driven by particular issues that you were passionate about. It sounds like.
But it's so broad. Everything is so interwoven. It's not just education. I mean, education consumes half the state budget. I mean, that's a big lot of money. I'm concerned about policy. You know, we've got some policies that are really bad, I think, and I want to change policies, and that's what I'm driven to do is try to influence policies. I mean, all these government agencies need to learn to live within their budget, and so I try to help them to live within their budget by stopping the flow of money into them from the taxpayers.
Right, so just to shift topic a little bit, is there something in particular that draws you to the peninsula specifically?
Bring to the peninsula?
Yeah, why you've lived here for so long. What is it about the peninsula that's kept you here?
Well, it's the weather. It's certainly not the golf courses, because there aren't. I mean, if it were golf courses, I'd move down to Watsonville.
Yeah. So the weather.
Yeah, the weather is nice, and I was fortunate to get a home up in the Emerald Hills area before they became priced me out of the market.
It's a beautiful area.
And thanks to Prop 13, I'm able to hang on to it. I would never be able to stay in the house I'm in if it hadn't been for Prop 13.
Mm-hmm. So you talked a little bit about your career. Were there specific things in your career that prepared you for the work you do in the political arena?
I guess some of the proposal writing, presentations like that in the business I was in. You know, I had 28 patents in my career.
Wow. In
high technology, and so some of that in my career helped me with that. But mostly it was really triggered back in Hawthorne.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you've been doing it for so long.
Yes.
It's such a part of your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's the education is probably the primary driver. I mean, I have 5 children all grown up now, and I still think back to their school days when, you know, I went to a teacher conference and the teacher said, "You think your daughter's handwriting is bad, you should see mine." It didn't impress me, so I haven't been impressed with the government schools.
Yeah.
And so I've always tried to make it so that parents have a choice. I'm a person who supports choice in education, and that's something I'd like to see policy changes on. So I work to make policy changes that will make that possible, that they can be, you know, empowered. Parents can be empowered to make other choices.
Mm-hmm. What do you think some of the toughest challenges are that the county faces right now?
Well, they lost so much money with their investing and all. They just the biggest challenge is just cutting back. They have to cut back on things that they're doing that they shouldn't be doing. And the problem with all of these agencies are limited in what they can do. They don't have discretionary authority because they have so much money coming in with strings attached that you could almost run the county by a computer. I mean, really, because they've got to cross the T's and dot the I's in order to keep getting the money, and they keep going after more money. And then they claim they don't have local control, so they try to implement a local tax. Parcel taxes are the big favorite, and I oppose every parcel tax in the county. My name is on most of the ballot arguments against parcel taxes for the school district. My Libertarian associates and I, using the Libertarian Party as the means to get the ballot arguments on there, that's what we do. And there are a lot of people out there that are grateful for what we're doing. And but it just these governments are spending too much. I quote Thoreau, "That government is best which governs least." And so it's just going in that direction.
Yeah. Is there something that you would like to be remembered for in all the work that you do?
Well, I don't think I've gotten to that point yet. I'm hoping that it will be, you know, it's something that I do in the future.
Okay.
I mean, I've done
what, for example?
Do
you have something in mind? You're
yes,
like, I really want
yes,
to achieve this.
Yes, primarily it's in the area of the choice in education, and you know, I have proposed in the past that, and currently parcel taxes. I mean, not parcel. I'm sorry.
Voucher.
Property tax credits for education, which is another form of a voucher. It's an alternative to a voucher. I'd still like to see the voucher, and that may, you know, that would be obviously would be the best thing that I could do, is to see a voucher passed. The original one that I had that Milton Friedman endorsed back when there were competing measures, different voucher plans. There's different voucher plans. Some of them are Trojan horses. I referred to that on my website. I have websites that have all the information on my voucher plan. And the other thing is getting the government out of the business of philanthropy. I have a committee.
And by that you mean?
Tax dollars going for feel-good things. They do something nice for somebody, and they corrupt a lot of charitable organizations. They give the money to the charitable organization. The charitable organizations turn into quasi-government agencies. They start functioning just like another part of government. That's bad.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. It was a really interesting conversation. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Almetria Vaba, and that's been this edition of City County Profiles.